but I wanted to show you some ways to move things if you need to. So let's say like this knee right here, it's actually kind of out too wide. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold it here at the top hip, and then I'm going to move this in. Move this part in. Okay. And then now I'm going to just bend the arms. So Levi is different because remember how I told you about the zigzag? Well, here we've got the standing leg like this, then the hips angling this way, and then he angles this way. And so it's like a smaller zigzag. It's like a tighter zigzag around his pelvis. And then so long, short, and then long, and then short, and then long again for the head. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to just bend these shoulders, just give myself a general idea of where things are. Here I'm going to bend this shoulder as well. So this is around the height of the C7 right here. So just going to generically bend these shoulders. And I'm going to check from the side to see whether this is really it or not. So I've got this right here because my armature is actually quite larger. It's a lot taller than our sculpture. So I'm just making an accommodation. So this is actually representing our base, our clay base. All right, so we've got the C7 up here. We've got the chin at this level. Sternal notch is here. Right shoulder is at this height. So it's a touch. Okay, so it's a little bit wiggly. So we'll just kind of leave it there for now. And then the left shoulder is around here. So I think it's okay. Right elbow is up at this point. I think it's okay for now. It may need to bend a little bit more. Let's see. And then we've got our left ankle, excuse me, our left knee. I'm doing too much of this. Right knee, okay. All right, so now I'm gonna look at the photos. Let's check this out. Okay. Now, another thing that you can do, which is helpful as well, is to mark out the height of things. The only thing is that you have to do it when you're really, really sure about your position. So sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but at least this will give you a sense. So let's find the right elbow, left elbow. Oh my gosh, I can't find the left elbow. I don't think I have it. Okay, there is no left elbow. Okay, so right elbow is about this height right here. So you can do things like that too, okay? But I'd almost say just kind of eyeball it for now. Okay, so we've got our gesture from the side. You guys are looking at 3/4 viewpoint for now, but I gotta get this before going forward. Okay. So this is going through. It's kind of back a little bit, but I think it's okay. Okay. So I think it's okay from this side. You can see right there. Now the arm is going to rotate back. So you hold it here at the central point, okay, when you want to do a movement. Okay, because this is the bigger structure, right? And then you can move your armature back. Okay, now I'm going to look at the back. I think it's more or less okay. It's always good to change your perspective because sometimes you can get used to how things look and then just kind of fall asleep. So, okay, let's get this rotated in. and then rotate it this way. Okay. All right, so I think it's all right. Okay, now we're gonna do this pelvic box. Okay, so this is right pelvic point down here. So I know this is redundant for many of you. So if you don't want to fast forward, just go ahead, okay? I'm just doing this because I know that there are differences in these body types, and you may want to, you know, kind of learn from each one. Okay. So yeah, I'm using a bigger tool, bigger, flatter tool right now to get this pelvis. And see, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll put tiny little pieces of clay, and then it'll take them forever to build up this pelvis. But really, if you put in bigger chunks like this, right, you can actually block in a lot faster. Here it got a little bit small, so I'm just gonna keep sticking this in. All right. Go. All right. Okay. So now we're gonna get so this pelvis looks like it might be a bit just a touch large, so I just want to double check. Oh yeah. Oh, this is like way, it's got to be all the way up here. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely way too low. All right. Doesn't matter if you get this part perfect or not. The point is that you just you're just thinking about where everything is. So I actually should put the top of the head first. Okay. So this will help give me. So this is kind of like, remember how with the envelope you're getting the highest most point and then the widest most point. Okay. We're not putting the widest in yet, but we're getting the tallest so that at least from there you can cut the body into two parts and then compare how tall everything is. Let's just double check this height right here. Okay, so that's better. Okay. Okay. All right, there we go. Here. So I'm going to cut across here so we don't have this ginormous pelvis. Okay. Okay, right, left, whoa. All right. So it's a lot more tipped. Okay. I admit it's not the easiest to sculpt diagonally like this. There we go. All right, so since this is kind of getting in the way, I'm going to actually cut this right now. So if you don't have pliers to do this, you can use a pair of scissors. And the scissors, you're not going to cut straight through because the scissors are not as not as heavy duty as a pair of pliers. But what you can do is you can just notch it, just cut it a little bit, and then, I mean, this is for scissors if you can't have pliers on hand, right? And then you just wiggle it until it breaks off. Okay. All right. So here we go. Now we're going to bend this into the body of Levi. I'm going to cut this a little bit right here. So I want to leave a little bit of space in case I need to finagle this armature. Okay. But I'm going to stick this guy right in here. And then that'll help me just be able to have a little bit more. I'll be blocking the front of his pelvis. Okay, so I've got this. Now, when we've got the pelvic points in place, you gotta make sure that the rest of the pelvic box is nice and straight so that when you cut through and really form the whole thing, it's going to all correspond. So that we're so your clay should be nice and soft. If it's too hard, you should get an old t-shirt and cut it into 3 to 4 inch wide strips and just dampen it, and then put it on your clay. Soak it up with some water and then place it on your clay inside the bag, and that'll help hydrate that clay again. And then with the leftover strips, right, you can use that to wrap around your sculpture. Okay, so you see how it's like a weird diagonal now? Now we're just gonna finish this off. This end right here, we're just gonna make it more of a rectangle. I'll use the thicker tool so that you can really see. Okay. Now I think that it's not as wide on this pelvis, so we're gonna, yep. So we're gonna make it a lot more. Okay. Here, and then here. So what you can do is you can draw your center line of the pelvis on your reference photo. And then from the center line, you can drop the line and see where it hits in between the 2 feet. So that's another thing that can really help too. Okay. All right, so we got a nice good amount of clay, so we can cut it all off. All right. Whoops. Oh dear God. Really? Here we go. Yeah, so you gotta be sure you get your clay in the back part of it too. So it won't just all fall right off. Okay. All right, we'll cut it up here. Right here. All right, so now we're going to get this rib cage. So with a person who has, well, it depends on the body type. A lot of times a person who is announced male at birth will have a larger rib cage in comparison to the pelvis. So in general, the pelvis is going to be narrower and taller, okay, compared to someone who's announced female at birth. So there's going to be a rotation here, okay, so the rotation is this way, okay, of the rib cage, just a touch. And you can see that the rib cage is wider than the pelvis. So there's going to be a part right here of the rib cage where it angles in. Okay, so be sure that it's out beyond the pelvic points, this pelvic point here, because that's how it is in the in our reference photo. Okay, and then you can also use a plumb line to figure out where the side of the rib cage is, and then you'll see that, you know, it's not here, it's actually out here. Okay, so we're going to rotate that. We're going to tilt that out. Okay. It's mostly all pipe here, so this pelvis is like jiggling around. Let's get it up here. Okay. Okay, so I've added quite a bit more information to this sculpture. I felt like you guys are gonna die of boredom. You have to watch me do everything. But here, essentially, you can see how I've started to put, I put in the rib cage shape in a much more decisive way. C7 can move up. I've moved some things around too. So I want to move this part of the rib cage a little bit more farther forward, okay? And you can see I've fully developed the box, the rib cage. The head instead, it's mostly just kind of like, it's almost like a line, you know, it's like a flat pancake or something where it's going through the mid part of the center line of Levi's head. So that's just kind of there so that I don't get too carried away, all right? Because the issue with heads is that typically, and I know you've been doing it because I've been seeing you do it, practically all of you do that, okay? You guys have a tendency to put a big old ball for the head. So we don't want that. We just want the center line of the head, okay? I'm gonna turn it around a bit more. You can see here, I still haven't totally finished the rib cage, okay? So you gotta make sure that everything is symmetrical, okay? Now, a thing that not many people are realizing is that when Levi is tilting this way, his ribs are compressing down, and these ribs are actually opening up. So I want you to put your hands on either side of your rib cage, okay? And you're going to tilt in this direction, tilt your rib cage in this direction, and you're gonna feel how these ribs, this side right here, open up, and they actually get bigger this way, okay? So these ribs, although we had that theoretical, you know, egg shape, they are not theoretical. They are very much real, and they are they're spreading. They're spreading and they're compressing according to how you're breathing and also how, in this case, how Levi has tilted his rib cage. Okay, so yeah, it's yeah. So all right. So either way, we've got all this lined up. You see here that I've drawn all these things here. This is something that people are not necessarily paying attention to, which is that if you have the center line of the pelvis like this, the lumbar bones. Okay, these lumbar bones, right? They're coming right off of the sacrum. There's movement here, right? But typically it's going to go straight up for a little bit, and then you're going to see more of a directional change. Okay, so you have to remember that just above the pelvic points, it's still the rigid sacrum bone right here. So that's going to create the straight line coming up off of in between the back pelvic points. So that's going to go straight up, and then you have to think that just little by little, you see these spaces in here, these bones will have a space to move. Okay. Have you guys ever seen the sculpture, The Grand Odalisque by Ingres, I-N-G-R-E-S? Well, he made a spine on his lady that was so sinuous, right? That it's actually cartoony because he added extra vertebrae. You actually can't get that much sinuous movement without actually changing the anatomy. So you're going to think about how this goes up, and then it makes plane changes. And I marked out here too, you know, where these plane changes are occurring. Okay. So, so now, I'm not sure if you guys can see it that well. I'm going to redo this a little bit. I think the lighting is such that maybe you can't see that line too great. So here, like that. Okay. So the other thing too is that Levi's rib cage is rotated this way. All right, it's that way. So so while you are putting all these various points, right? So now we're looking for C7, back of the head, okay? You see how there's a rotation that occurs. So if you look at, while you're doing your, you know, regular quarter view type of work, right? You are also going to definitely be correlating the front, back, side, you know, whatever views with the above views. That's going to be really important for you. And then also the lower views. These are the ones that are going to help you see how the various body parts are oriented. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, you see how from nipple to nipple, that's kind of helping a little bit tell you what the orientation is, but it is actually being affected by what's happening here. So this is getting pulled, the pectoralis muscle right here. See it right there? Let's see, yeah, you see it right up here, right? It's getting pulled back here by the arm, stretched back, all right? And then here, you're getting the pectoralis muscle, which is dropping. There's just relaxation here. Okay, so that's gonna make it seem like the rib cage is maybe tilted a little bit more than it actually is. So you just have to think that the rib cage maybe is gonna be here and then to here, okay? So that's the orientation of the rib cage, okay? So you're thinking about how here there's this orientation, then the rib cage is like this, and then the pelvis is like that, okay? And then the knees, remember with your drawing assignments, you can just draw a line from the front of the knee to the other front of the knee and figure out what angle at which these exist in space. You're starting to understand? So you have to be sure that you look at your sculpture from the same vantage point so that you can see everything laid out at this very diagonal. You don't want to be too above and you don't want to be too far back from the sculpture. And then you can even draw out the shape of the feet as well. Okay, so you're getting all these points, trying to check, you know, and then you see how the shoulders are, you know, from point to point. Oh, that's his nose, actually. Yeah, I think his clavicle is actually somewhere around here too, around the tape where the nose is. So I think we're kind of lucky that it lines up so well. But either way, you can go from point to point here and be able to get the angle at which the shoulders exist. Okay, so you're thinking about the rotation of body parts from above while you are also laying out all this information. Okay, so it just takes time. Be patient with yourself. Keep checking everything from front to back. Okay. Don't forget also to look at the sculpture from above. Okay, especially like this viewpoint right here. Okay, there's one where there's other viewpoints that are even more extremely above. You want to check a little bit of everything. So once again, as long as you remember that your image should be parallel to your eyes, you should be fine. Your image should be parallel to your eyes should be in the central point of whatever part you're observing. Let's say you're observing the legs, this section of the legs. Well, you want your eyes to be at this level then, okay? And then as you progress, more and more of your information is going to correlate with each other. So let's move back here to the sculpture. And you can see that I've started to put in a little bit of the head. Now let's be sure that you remember that there's the sides of the skull. Now Levi's head is actually narrower. It's actually narrower in the back up here than it is near the front of his head. So for that reason, you definitely want to look at his head from below or above from underneath. Okay, that's how you can really tell what these dimensions are like, that this is not going to be as wide as that part there. So he doesn't have the type of skull shape that we were seeing in class. It's actually the inverse. Okay, so also I've started to put down some of the silhouette of his shoulders. And once again, what I'm going to do is I decided that because of our circumstances, I'm going to actually draw for you where the high point is of each muscle that is creating our profile. So, I mean, if we were to look at him from behind, right? You see right here? Oh, hang on. Boop. So if you were to see him from behind, you're going to see this profile, right? So I'm going to actually draw on here where that profile exists in space. And then that way, when you sculpt, you can put this profile down, just like I did with the sculpture, okay? But then also, when you look at the sculpture, either from above, oh, hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. All right, from above. Okay, so when you look at it from above, you'll be able to tell, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Hang on, the cord's all messed up, okay. All right. Yeah, so when you look at the sculpture from above, you'll be able to see exactly where this high point is, that it actually is sinuous. Oh God. All right, so it actually has a movement to it. So it starts here, then moves out this way, okay, to swing back into the scapula area. So this is just going to be part of, again, what, like I said, this is going to be part of your project, is that you have to actually feel where those high points are, but I will also give you visual information as well, and that'll help you understand it a little bit better. Okay, so, all right, now I'm going to move. So we've got this C7 here, all right, and you see this rotation of his neck. All right, so this trapezius muscle is going to be connecting this way. Now, this is something that you guys did not get. I wrote on the anatomy packet that the vertebrae spines, okay, spines of the vertebrae, right here. Okay, remember these guys? So all of the spines of the vertebrae are subcutaneous. So in this area right here, you're actually, if you feel the back of your neck, you're gonna feel that this is a furrow in the back of your neck. Okay, especially when the head is upright, like you have with Levi. And you can see even right here, there's that furrow there, that little shadow. Let me see if there's another image. Yeah, it's not as obvious here, but it curves here and then goes in again. So you can see a little bit here too. It's very light, but there's a little furrow there, and you should feel the back of your head, and you'll see it. It's like right here. So so you see the shadow, how the shadow is here, right? So when you straighten the neck, it's less, but it's still there. You can feel it right at the base of the skull that there's a depression there. Okay, so you're gonna look for that here, and that's gonna be part of your central line, right? That goes from the C7 up through the neck. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit for you. Okay, so it's gonna be like this. All right, so it's like a spiral almost. Okay. All right, and then so from here, on either side of this neck, this base of the neck, okay, you're gonna get this, this right here. This right here is the attachment of the trapezius muscle. So the trapezius muscle, you gotta feel it at the base of your skull, okay? The trapezius muscle, sorry, this armature actually is kind of in the way, all right. The trapezius muscle is on either side of the neck, okay? And it creates this kind of triangular shape. Let's see if we can find it. Ooh, we don't have the back view of, we don't have the back view of our anatomy stuff. So I'm going to put this here. So our trapezius muscle is this guy right here, okay? So this trapezius muscle creates an A shape. You see that angle, like a pyramid, a low pyramid or kind of wide A shape. And then the sternocleidomastoidus, it's this muscle right here. You see this? It connects to the back of the ear, all right? That on the mastoid process, okay? And then it connects to the sternum and then the clavicle. That's why it's called the sternocleidomastoidus. And remember how I told you about spiraling muscles? Well, this is one of them, okay? So it's like the sartorius that I was talking about that starts at the front pelvic point and then spirals around the leg and then back to the front. Same thing here, okay? So this is going to create the V shape in the front, the sternocleidomastoidus, and in the back, this is going to create an A shape. So we're creating the, we're putting down the trapezius right now, and like I said, it has a very specific placement. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to keep forming it a bit. Okay, and if you feel the back of your neck, you're going to feel that right here at the base, it's closer to the profile, the side profile of the neck. And then as it moves down, you're going to feel that that profile swings more this way, closer to the front. Okay, and then here you can see it as well. I believe you can. Yeah. So from here, you see closer out to the front here. Okay, so it's here closer to the neck, swings out, then it swings back in. Okay, same thing here. So out here, all the way out, close to the very insertion near at the base of the neck, and then out here, and then out here, and then swings back in. Okay, so remember that the scapula, right, is like a triangle. So it's actually going to insert into the scapula. So you guys will probably have to just put a generic scapula in. Okay. All right, so I'm just creating the ridge that you guys had drawn in for your anatomy homework, okay? So I'm just putting that in right now. I'm putting this in. So here to here, okay? Now obviously it's covered with muscles, layer of muscle, but it's pretty obvious on Levi. Okay. So the scapula is kind of like a flattened triangle. There's a plane to this. Now the plane, right, scoops in at an angle like that. It depends on what angle the scapula is at. So you really have to feel that on yourself. So try, you know, pulling your arm out like that and then swinging it in. And whichever arm is more flexible for you, try to feel that, okay? If not, just get like one of your family members to wear a tank top and then just move their arm up and down, and then you can see where the scapular ridge is, okay? All right, so this trapezius is like this. Okay, so here it comes at a point, then it widens out, and it dimensionally comes out more at this point, okay? And then here, that's where things start to come out a bit more. All right. Now the thing about this area here, right, this trapezius area, is that it's not, how do I say it? There are parts where, remember how I said that the spines of the vertebrae are subcutaneous, right? They're either the shadow or the highlights on the form of the model. Now, in this case, here at this point, this C7, the spine is actually sticking out. And you're going to find that along this part of the neck, see here is the C7. Okay, maybe you can see better with the shadow, but here's the C7, right? So this part is going to be sticking out. Here it comes in, right? It's a depression. Here it sticks out again. And then in this area, it sticks out a little bit again here, okay? Then depending on whether if the scapula is pushed forward or pulled back, you will get either skin compressing around it when the scapula are pulling back, or getting pulled around this area. So if you were to cross your arms in front of you, you would feel that these spines of the vertebrae would start to expose, right? So because his shoulder is pushed forward, okay, the scapula is pushed forward, and then the arm compresses back, it's like a flattening of the scapula against the rib cage. And you're gonna see just a little bit of a depression here because of that. So it's there. I'm scared to take this thing off the tripod, but let's try showing you. Okay. Yeah, you can see. All right. Okay, you see that? Hopefully you can see that okay. All right, so trying to get the tilt right. Okay, so yeah, so either way, this is coming out. And then this part swings in. So this part you press in at an angle, inwards like that. So this point goes inwards more, okay? All right, so let's keep going. So the scapula back here, once again, the shape of the scapula is triangular, right? So it's like this, and then like that. And you're gonna see those shapes on Levi. Okay, so so normally if it was outwards, like he was just normal, like, you know, shoulders down, right? It would be all the way here, you know, more or less even with what's going on here, right? Okay, out there. But because he's pulling his elbow back, the scapula is actually moving this way, closer to the spine. And you can see here, you can see right here with this highlight right here, that is the shape of the scapula. Okay, so here it's farther out. You see this is the center line of the spine. It's farther out on this side. Here, it's closer. Okay. And then the other thing too is that the point of the scapula is also going to be sticking farther out from the rib cage. Oh, yeah, so it's going to be sticking out farther. Okay, so you just try it, you see it and you feel the point of the scapula sticking out that way. Okay. And then once again, we can see here with this image that it's, okay, so there's the spine, there's the regular scapula farther out, and then here's, this is where the point of the scapula is sticking farther out, okay? All right, so I hope this is making more sense, okay? So I'm gonna pull this out. All right. Okay. So with this sticking out, we're going to think too about the deltoid. So the deltoid, right, is coming off of the scapula, all right? And the scapula, like I said, it's, you have to feel the shape. From above, it's going to look like this. So you see our handout from class. So this is the front clavicles. This is the sternal notch. Okay, so this is like the person's face is facing that way, and this is the back of the head. So you see how this shape in general is like a very big diamond. Okay, so depending on the movement of the scapula, you can have the clavicles, all right, they're more like this, right? You can have them like this. So that's what's happening with Levi, is that this moves forward and then the point of the scapula goes out like that. Okay, that's why it's sticking out here at this back area. Okay, I hope that makes a little bit more sense. So you're gonna be creating this shape right here, or this spine of the scapula, and then from there, you can put your various muscles. So it's like a diamond shape up here. So I'm just making this stick out, this area right here, stick out a touch more. All right, and then I'm just flattening this down right now. So I'm thinking about how the scapula is being shifted this way. Okay. Okay, you see that? All right. Okay, so now we're gonna get other stuff in here, okay? So let's get the pelvis. So the pelvis, okay, you've got this bone here. Okay, I hope you guys can see this all right. So we've got this bone here, right, of the pelvic point, and then it comes out. So just like you hopefully had seen with the Mia sculpture, the pelvis, okay, right, this pelvis has the pelvic points and then the iliac ridge, which extends out to the side and then comes back in again. So that's what we're gonna make. God, I'm sorry, this is all askew. It's like, okay, all right. So we're gonna put that down because right now it's looking very theoretical, and you see how this is starting to look much more like Levi. So we're going to add this shape right here. And it's kind of like a butterfly shape. All right. And you can see from here, here from above, that, whoops, that the shape starts here and then moves back and swings in again. Okay, so it comes out here. There's kind of like a point right here, and then it changes plane again. Okay, so I'm gonna make that. All right. And then you can see here from the side that it will connect back into where the back pelvic points are. So it comes around like a spiral again, right? And then comes here to where the back pelvic points are. Okay. So I apologize for this armature, but this is what I have. Okay, this is what I normally use for making sculptures with rubber molds to cast them. Okay, so now we've got the pelvis, and I'm thinking let's put some of the glutes in. I'm gonna find the back view. Hang on, can I pause this? Okay, so I know I said we were gonna do the glutes. So I just wanted to show this to you real quick though, that that this iliac crest, right, moves backwards, but then comes out and then it swings back in, okay? That's important because this pelvic point creates a dimple in the back of the pelvis. You want to be sure that it swings in, you see here? That it swings inwards so that when you put the glutes on, you can really, move the muscles like so that they really extend farther out, farther back and out. Okay. So you can see here our glutes. You can see our glutes here. You can see them here. You can see them there. Now you see that the lightest area is right here, right? So that all depends on the contraction that's occurring in the glute muscle, all right? So there's a contraction happening here. Okay, there's a compression, there's a compression of form here. There could be contraction, it depends how extreme Levi is holding his pose, but in actuality, he's kind of just more resting on his bones, on the bones of his, femur. So there's not going to be a lot of contraction, but there will be compression. So let's get some of this muscle on. Actually, you know what? Let's do it like this. So we're going to spread it on. And you're just going to make this shape. It's going to help you think about what's happening here. Okay. And then you're just going to remember that at this point, that's where you're getting more of the form sticking out. Okay. Okay, you see that? So it's coming out like that. All right, right here. And we're just letting this form come off. So he doesn't have like a super developed gluteus muscle area. So we're not going to go all crazy and do just this ginormous form. But we are going to make sure that it does have a good amount of volume. Okay, so here I'm going to smooth my tool over that so that the belly of the form, the biggest area, is going to be here. Okay, and we're going to move it here a little bit more. Okay, so it's such that the high point is going to be from out here to here, and then back out again. All right, that's where the high point is. You guys see that? Okay, yeah, you can. All right. Okay, so we're going to do it for the other side. Now, this other side here is different because he's actually this gluteus muscle is actually getting stretched to that part of the leg. So you see it's getting extended out this way. So it's getting pulled forward, right? So from here, it's getting pulled that way. So it's actually going to be stretching more. So we don't want this big ginormous bump, you know, like that, right? But we're going to put some of that muscle in. We're going to make sure that it's not sticking as it's deeper. This side is deeper than that, and that way you get the sensation that his muscle is extended. Okay. Okay, I just want to show you from various viewpoints. See that? So that's from the side. Okay. All right, you see that? So it's not sticking out as much. Now we're going to make it insert into that great trochanter bone. So it's going to be around here, right around here. Okay, so right here is the great trochanter bone. Okay, so this is going to extend and it's going to get thinner here in this area. So you just need to, it's kind of like a thinner cone, okay? And then here, there's actually going to be the hand, the thumb that's going to come around this area. So it's actually going to be pinched a little bit down to indicate the compression of form. So right here. Okay, now, right, I'm not sure if you can see it that well, but here, right, you can see where that great trochanter is. That's where the depression is. Okay, that depression right there. Okay, so so from here, you're going to have a mass of muscle. All right, that's it's the muscle called the tensor fascia lata. Yeah. The tensor fascia lata. So it's right here. It's this one right here. Okay, so it's connecting from the front, and then like just behind the pelvic point, and then curving here, and then attaching to that great trochanter. So from here, we're gonna think that, so his flesh is here, and it's connecting, right? And so it's like that. And then this is connecting downwards from the pelvic bone, right, to the great trochanter. All right, so it's like you've got two major volumes that are connecting to the great trochanter here. All right. Okay. All right, and then the outermost point of this glute, right, because of the falling down of this muscle and also the fat pad underneath, the outermost point is actually going to be out here, and it's going to drop that way. Okay, you see how it's farther away from the gluteal fold? All right, so you're going to have this move this way. Okay, first of all, okay, and then it's going to drop. Okay, so you see this angle change right here? It's going to be like that. And then here, we got to be sure that when we make our sacrum, right? So the sacrum, you can see right here. So here's the pelvic point right here. Okay, you can see it right there. And then here's the sacrum area. And you're gonna see that the angle of that is outwards like that, okay? So you wanna be sure that when you have the sacrum area, that you also sculpt that area too, that it's actually sticking outwards a little bit. Okay, and then from here, you're gonna continue this pelvic area, okay. Okay. All right, so that's just this area, okay? Now let's finish this up. So we've got the, oh, here, this will help too. Okay, so we've got this area here, all right, which is inserting into the great trochanter. And then we've got the fascia lata over that area. You see how it comes out like that? Okay, so we'll be sure to get that. And then from here, you're gonna get another muscle. Okay. Oh shoot, you know what? I made a freaking mistake. I'm sorry, I got the name of this wrong. This is the gluteus medius. Oh shoot, I'm sorry guys. And then this right here is actually the tensor fascia lata. Sorry about that. So if you're looking at your anatomy handouts, you should know that I was totally wrong, and you should have been screaming this whole time. She got it wrong. Okay. All right. So this tensor fascia lata, you can see a touch on Levi. Okay, so it's right there. You can see a little bit of the highlight right here coming out at an angle, and it's going to connect to that great trochanter. Here you see another highlight, so it looks like an A, right? This highlight is the sartorius, this guy right here, okay? And what we've been looking at just recently is this tensor fascia lata, which is the right side of that A shape, okay? So, so you can see right here, I made mine a touch poofy. We're gonna push that in a little bit, and then we're gonna add the sartorius. Okay, so this sartorius, when we put this in here, so you see this, oops, you see this shape. All right, this right here is the shape of that pelvic bone, okay? And this is like the pubic bone right here. So the sartorius is going to attach at this pelvic point. And you're just going to spiral it here. So some of you may not have that much material, so just fill it a little bit, okay? Because once again, you're gonna have to edit some of these forms. So we're just gonna put enough here so that the sartorius has enough space to sit. Okay, and then we're gonna do it like this. So some of you guys, you may just like make these big old poofy sartoriuses, but that's, here it's poofy, but then here it actually becomes an indentation. Okay, so don't be fooled. This part, we're just gonna make it a little bit deeper, knowing that it's an indentation. Okay. And then I wanna check this height of this knee. So let's see, left knee. Oh, it's gotta be up higher. Okay, so it's gotta be quite a bit higher. We're gonna get this guy up here, and it actually makes sense because if this is bent, this should be higher. Okay, it means that this knee is dropped lower. I got my knee way too low. Okay, so we're gonna get it up here. Take this off. Okay. So we've got our area of our knee. Now I'm going to show you how to put the muscle here down, okay? So if you look at, actually, you know what? Yeah. So if you look at the interior view, let's see. Yeah. The interior view of this leg right here, okay? You're gonna see that that there are tendons back here. You see these white things? Those are the tendon of gracilis, okay? These are tendons, and that's going to be a tighter point. It's gonna create a tighter form right here on the side of the knee, okay? So I'm going to sculpt that now. You can also see it here too, on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to continue this sartorius. All right, you can see right here, it swings in, right? Just like I showed you with that demo of the gesture, right? Where I have all like the pelvic points and also the sartorius taped onto my clothes, right? So here you can see, once again, the sartorius swinging in. And then here, you're going to have the vastus medialis, okay? So the vastus medialis is just, it's like around here. Now it all depends on the contraction of the knee, if the knee is contracted and the patella moves up, right? You know, contracting, meaning tense up your knee. Feel that, what that's like. You're gonna feel when your knee is relaxed, that it's gonna jiggle around, right? This little patella here that I'm putting on, this thing should be able, you should be able to move it up and down if your leg is relaxed. But if it's tense, the patella will get pulled up by these surrounding muscles here. So this, right, you see that this is a tendon that's attaching. And then here, these two other sides, those are the vastus muscles. And they are the ones that keep the knee in place, okay? So it's very important to exercise your knees by, let's say, climbing the stairs, okay? Don't avoid those stairs. They're very important for the muscle tone of your knee area. And especially when folks get older, they can get lazy, they don't want to go up, this or that. And really, it just makes it a lot easier to hurt the knee if these muscles are not worked enough. So definitely try to work them, all right? So we've got this guy in here. Then we've got the rectus femoris, okay, which is this line of muscle, which is in between. All right, and then this comes in. So let's see if you can see. You see how the rectus femoris is in more? And then this part bulges out more, okay? It's maybe not as much as this sculpture, but you get the sense that this is more of a bulge here, and then the bulge of this muscle is up here more. Okay, so they're like switching, okay? Then I'm going to add, actually, you know what? I'm gonna use this opportunity to cut off this armature because it's actually in the way. So I've actually marked out where this is, where the wrist ends, and I'm gonna cut it right here. So for those of you who have scissors, you may want to just cut, partially cut one wire at a time. Otherwise, you can just go for the whole shebang and cut it with your pliers, okay? So here you can see with the rectus femoris, that it comes out more. Okay. So you see with this grouping of muscles here that the mass here is going to be much fuller. All right, and then you can see on the Levi, oh, yeah, right here, on Levi, this highlight area right here, that fullness, that's because of what you see here. Okay, so it's all making sense, hopefully. Okay. So now I'm gonna move this in here. Okay. Angling things in like this, all right. And so there's going to be this kind of, especially on those announced male at birth, you're gonna find that this knee area is gonna be kind of more bony, right? You're gonna see more of the tendons and such. You'll see with the Mia sculpture how this area actually has fat pads on it, okay? So I'm just gonna keep adding more of these muscles on the side. You see how it's at a diagonal here, okay? Now, when you're looking at your photos, you can also see where the direction of the muscles are placed. So from below, you can see that this one is farther back. Okay, farther back than this guy right here. All right. And then the relationship between the two is that the belly of this is going to be lower than this side of the muscle belly. So this is lower and that's higher. Okay. So it's important to remember that these shapes all have a reason and a specific placement. That's why I had you guys work on those drawing exercises and really said, you know, you have to really think in a more critical way, especially with the one-to-one exercise, where you're drawing a one-to-one scale block-in of your model. Okay, so I just want to show you how this is progressing. Okay, now there's this area right here. It's this tendon of the fascia lata. Okay, so the tendon of the fascia lata is going to look like a depression in the leg. Okay, so when you, in this area right here, right? So when you look at the leg from the side, and you can look at your own leg, all right, you're going to see that in this area where there's the tensor fascia lata, right? That there's going to be more of a depression here. So I would almost just draw a line here, okay? It's not like a straight line. I saw that in the anatomy packet, you guys put like, you guys saw the broken line in this area, and then you thought it was just like a straight line, but it's actually the entire area. So this shape, which is like this, okay, which is like that, is what do you call it? It's gonna be like a long, thin triangle on the side of the leg, okay? And then it's gonna insert here on the side, okay? So it's gonna insert into the head of the fibula, okay? Oh, pardon me, actually, no, it's not the head of the fibula. It's gonna be the front of the tibia. Okay, so the tibia is the major. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, hang on, give me a second. No, it inserts farther forward. It's gonna be the head of the tibia. Okay. Okay. All right, and then the tibia is gonna be a little bit back here. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little pause. Okay, so I just want to be sure you guys are seeing these forms correctly. Just gonna go over right here. Okay. All right, you can see this arrangement of the rib cage this way, then the pelvis this way, and then the head even more that way. Okay. So hopefully this is good. You can see the shape of the scapula from above. Okay. All right. Okay, so continuing with this knee. On Levi, there's like a little bit of skin. Okay, I'll show you. You see this little bit right here? Okay. There's a little bit of a fold right here. I want to be sure that it's there. Okay. So it's wrapping. It's like right just above this knee area. Okay. And I'm using a different color clay. That's why this is so bright. Hopefully this won't confuse the heck out of you guys. All right. And then down here, you're going to get the form of the bone right here. Okay, the form of the bone just behind this tendon. Okay, so you see this tendon of the knee right there. Okay, so like I said, we've got our latissimus. All right, I'm gonna move it here again. And it's gonna just swing right there. Okay, next we're gonna get the bone, this bone. Remember this medial surface of the tibia bone right here. So, so this movement of the sartorius is gonna go like this. And actually this is gonna come out a little bit more. So there's this definite movement here, okay? It's gonna be like right here. Right, so that there's enough space for the tibia bone right here, and then the fibula that comes out on the side. All right, so now we're going to move our bone like this. We're going to create that surface of the bone. And you're going to see that so right now it's a touch straight. I want to show you. Let's see. There we go. So on this sculpture, it actually got cut off, got sanded off a little bit, but this right here, that's where you're gonna get that ankle bone. So it's gonna come out right here. Oops. Yep, so the ankle bone's gonna come out right here. So the movement is going to be coming out, then inwards. It's going to be kind of coming out around here, okay? Right here. All right, there's that angle. And then the ankle is in here. And then here you can just add some clay. So there's the arch of the foot. You can see. So there's the arch of the foot here on the inside of the, right here, the arch of the foot. So you want to get that part right now. Okay, so we're gonna place this clay in here. You see how it's kind of lifted there. Now the calcaneus bone is here, and there's a fat pad underneath it, which is what creates the compression right underneath the heel. So this fat pad is helping to absorb shock, so that when you walk or run, you don't freaking smash your bone, right? So Put this in here. And then we're going to place some of this. So everybody has a different arch of their foot. There's some people who have a really high arch, you know, like this, like super high. Okay, so it's literally an arch underneath the foot. Now, the really cool thing about the arch of the foot is that it allows a person to be able to jump and to be able to take really high jumps. Okay, so it acts like a spring. All right, so right here, I'm gonna make this kind of, this is another reference point right here. That's gonna be one of the tarsal, the starting of the tarsal bone of the toe, okay? And you can see right here. So there's a whole bunch of tendons and such that pass underneath here. Don't worry about that. But right here at this point, you're gonna find where the big toe joint is. And then that's what's gonna be touching the ground. So here, you can see a little bit better that it's really gonna be making contact with the ground. And you're gonna have a little bit of skin down there as the flesh compresses around that area. Okay. And then I'm just gonna kind of keep sculpting this foot just so that you can see what it's like. So you're gonna look at shapes like this. Okay, you see that? I'm really starting to form the toe right now. And then you can see with the Levi image, that shape of his toe. So you can really put all that information down. All right. All right, so let's continue with this leg here. So we're gonna get, actually let's continue with this baby. All right, so now we're going to start putting in the other muscles that are surrounding this area. So here, I'm just putting this on the side diagonal. Okay, we're gonna start the gastrocnemius muscle. And we can see, well, yeah, right here. So the gastrocnemius muscle, let me move this light. Okay, so the gastrocnemius muscle is, it's got these two lobes to it, okay? You see right here? It's got two lobes. So when I'm making this part of the leg, hang on, let me see if I can get this higher up. I'm gonna just point this down a touch. All right, so we've got this gastrocnemius muscle that you can see the higher lobe is up here, and it's always going to be more slim. Okay, here it's like kind of like this big old lobe, but if you feel on the side of your own leg, it's actually going to be quite slim. It's only if you super work out these muscles that they're going to be bumpy like this. This guy's like super muscly, you know, not everyone is going to be working out that much, okay? So this part's going to be a little bit smoother, okay? And you see how the outermost point of the contour is higher, right? Actually, this is like, ugh. Here you can see a little bit better. So this sculpture is not all perfect either. So up here, you're going to have the outermost point higher up. And then with the interior, the medial side of the gastrocnemius, the two lobes, right? So this is one lobe, and that's the second lobe, right? This is going to be lower. Okay, so that's all you need to remember, is that when you are finding the angle relationship between the outermost point of either side of the calf, it's always like a V shape. That's all you got to remember, just a V, okay? So I'm going to start sculpting this area. So you can form kind of like a teardrop shape, like this, okay? And then just apply that. And then here we're going to create that lower lobe. Now on Levi, it's quite slim, okay? It's definitely not as bulbous as this other guy right here. Right here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of fill in this form a bit. Like that. I'm also going to continue this muscle back here too. So here. Okay. All right, so this part of the leg, let's finish this baby up, okay? Because he's looking pretty raw. So the back of the leg, let me move this stuff around a bit. Okay. There. So this back of the leg has, oops. Has a tendinous area right here, okay, right here. So that means that it's actually depression. So we're going to place like a snake of clay, thin one down here, because that's where the depression is. And then we're gonna put these outer muscles right here. So it's gonna be the biceps femoris of the back of the leg. I think they're typically called the hamstring, okay? So it's going to be more of a bulbous shape up here, okay? More meat up there, more muscle, okay? Now, when I look at the gesture of this, I just feel like there's not enough. So I'm seeing that there's the muscle here, but there also needs to be just a touch more. There's a little bit of fat here. So we need to put a little bit of fat there. Okay. Okay, and then that's going to help the gesture some more. Yeah. Okay, so as there's compression here, right, and there's fat on the glutes as well, you're going to get a little bit more volume here. Okay. All right. Okay, so now there's this area right here. Okay. this area right here. And it's gonna look like the flesh is popping out. Okay, and then we're gonna finish up our biceps femoris here. So wherever you have like armature sticking out, don't even worry. We're not worrying about that right now. We just want to get as much of these forms down as possible. Okay. Okay, you see how that is? All right. And then I was talking about the compression of fat too. So there's some here too we need to get. Okay. All right. And then we're going to go in here and remember that here it's more like tendon, tight tendon. So you're going to draw in this area. Then here we've got our back of our knee, just kind of popping out a little bit more. Right here. So in general, with the back of the knee, you're going to see two lines. It's going to be like this, like that. And that's where the tendons of the back of the knee are. All right, now remember how I said there was the fibula on the side? So we're going to get this to move out because the fibula is on the side of the tibia right here. So you're going to get those out there. Now I'm going to continue on to finish these lobes of the gastrocnemius. So from above, there's a relationship here. So the point of this is going to be diagonal. It's going to go inwards like that. And then this is going to come out, right? So there's an actual rotation that occurs there. So be sure you get that. And then here, we're going to have the tendon that travels down from the gastrocnemius down to the calcaneus bone, the heel bone down here. And that's the famous Achilles tendon. Okay. So those of you who know, oh shoot, I don't remember what it is. Is it the Odyssey? The Odyssey or the Iliad? Might be the Iliad. Okay. Achilles, the Greek hero Achilles. He was his Achilles tendon got cut, which was the source of his power. Okay, so there's a line right here that occurs. So be sure you get that. So there are two lines from here to here. And that's the back of the knee. All right, so I think that's actually a bit high. Let's move this down. Okay, right here. Then we'll erase that. Yep. So right here. Okay. Now, this is looking quite thin still. Okay. So we need to put a little bit more flesh here. Okay, this is where the bicep femoris was working. Okay, so it's like this. Right here. Okay, you see how incredibly flat that is? So we gotta move this baby out. So when we look at Levi, you're gonna see that it needs to come out more. All right. Yeah, just a touch more. Okay, and we haven't even talked about the ankle. So the ankle's here. So the ankle's a little bit far back, okay? And you can't really tell because the foot right now is just kind of all generic. So I'm gonna push this back a touch. Ankle's gonna go back here. And then we're gonna move this a little forward. So here we're gonna put this anterior muscle. All right, this tibialis anterior, and you see how it's, let's see if you can see. All right, so you see this, so this anterior tibialis right here, this baby right here, is a little bit farther forward than the medial surface of the tibia, okay? So it's the part of your lower leg that pops out. So if you were to flex your foot like in this position, but raise your leg, right? Raise your leg and then flex your foot up, okay? Up like that. You would find that this muscle right here is gonna pop out more. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. Okay, you see that sticking out more? Okay, I'm just gonna turn it so I can see what the heck I'm doing. Just kind of adjusting this contour a bit. So you're putting down the anatomy, you're looking at these muscles, and you're doing the best you can, okay? But then you also have to look at the photos and make sure that everything is actually working. Okay, so here it sticks out a little bit, and it's kind of like a triangular wedge. Okay, so you can feel that part of your leg, and it's kind of like a little wedge. Right. And then it's gonna move up here. Okay. So this muscle is like right here. Okay, and it's going to insert, it's gonna attach to the side of this ankle right here, the inner part of the ankle. Okay, now the gastrocnemius from the inside, from this part right here, actually is a little bit farther forward. So it's going to be on the other side of this, this medial surface of the tibia bone, right? So make sure that you got that part. And then, okay. And then it's, okay. All right, so we're going to kind of clean up this form here of the front of the foot. Now there's a whole mess of tendons that connect and then spread out and attach to the various toe, tarsal bones, okay? Don't worry about all that. You're just gonna make your exterior forms, okay? All right, so here we're gonna just fill this a little bit so that it makes a little more sense, okay? All right, now let's get the interior part of this leg. So on Levi, you can see like this guy, we're just starting, right? So here you can see Levi, his leg, there's more, there's a little more fat around this area. So we need to make sure that it's full enough that it really conveys him, because we're not doing full tension here. If he was like, had like very little body fat, I mean, he already is quite slim, but if he was like, I mean, like barely any water in his body, like a dancer maybe just before they're about to perform, or even like a bodybuilder. I do not condone it at all, but because a lot of people don't know what the heck they're doing. But if you have less body water, then there'll be less fat. But you don't want to go there. All right, let's not go there personally. I'm just trying to tell you in general, cause and effect of things. Because you get super dehydrated. We don't want to go there. All right, so here on the inside part of the thigh, you're going to have, so in our little anatomical model, there's like practically no fat. There's like a gap right there, okay? We don't care. We're gonna add some fat pad here, just a touch. There's a little bit of fat here. So we're gonna add some fat here, let it fill out a little bit. And then in this area, we're gonna transition. Okay, so you already have all these forms. Okay, so you don't need to add a ton of clay. You're gonna make sure that this area right here, it's gonna be more of a depression here, okay, where the sartorius is. And then here, you're gonna have the form come out, pop out more for the rectus femoris. Okay. And then here on this side of the leg, we're gonna put, okay, so here we've got two lobes underneath the knee. So right here, okay. That's the shape of the tibia underneath the kneecap. the head of the tibia. Okay, so we need that there. I'm gonna move this up. Okay, still looking at touch skinny. Whoa. Let's do this. Mind you, I'm sculpting at an angle, so it's hard for me to tell sometimes. Okay. All right. And move this out a touch more. And then we're gonna let there be a little, so remember this is gonna create that shadow depression, right? It's gonna be like a depression here. And then here you can have a little bit of fat. Okay, so I wanna repeat, fat is very important for our bodies. There's all kinds of fears about fat. Really shouldn't be afraid of fat because really you need fats to think, for one thing, and they also help maintain the water balance in your body. And they act as extra reserves. And if you don't have fat, in all honesty, you're practically close to death. Okay, I've actually had the opportunity to see a woman who was anorexic, and she showed me her abdomen, and her abdomen had veins on it. Okay, I think I told you this story, but I'll repeat to you, okay? Because there are a lot of issues with fat. I've even had like students that were anorexic, and I'm like, what? How is that possible? It's just amazing how you can get an idea in your head and it can grow into this thing where it doesn't make any more sense. Okay, so the fear around fat is really freaking ridiculous. Okay, just FYI. Shouldn't be afraid of fat. We love it. Okay. All right. So we've got that fat area right here. The skin is compressing. So here between the thighs, you're getting this compression of flesh and fat. Okay, and it's dropping, right? I'm going to add some here too. And the outermost point, right, what's creating the profile is actually farther back. So it's farther back here, all right? Okay, now let's get, all right, and then we're gonna add just a touch more fat here too. All right, and for those of you who are having problems with this, right, really it's important that you either ask a family member to pose for you, maybe even just a little bit, so you can just look at what a knee is like. All right, so if you have a male model, you want to ask a male, announced male at birth person, okay? And the same if you have someone who's announced female at birth, okay? Because the anatomy is going to be different, like I said, because of the various fat pads. Okay. All right, so just trying to get more of this feel of the tibia back here. And then I'm going to cover this so that it's not so strange looking. All right, so this area of the knee is a bit complex, but as you can see, it is doable. And there's a little bit of the hanging skin here too, around this area. Just a touch, you'll see it on Levi. Now, whoever it is that you're sculpting, if you can find these forms, fantastic, okay? No matter what the body type of the person, just remember that these muscles, they're all there, okay? And the difference with someone announced female at birth is that they're gonna have those fat pads, and you're gonna have to add the fat pads on top of this structure anyway, okay? So, all right. So the genitals, it's gonna be hard to tell what they're like because of the bathing suit. So we're just gonna put this here. It's gonna be a general shape because obviously the bathing suit is gonna be compressing all the genitals in. So we're gonna do that. Okay. All right, so I've just gone over the muscles of the leg, bottom of the leg, a little bit of the trapezius and scapula, the glutes. I'm gonna stop with this video, and then the next ones I'll continue with this sculpture, but then I'll sculpt the rest of the stuff, okay? So you don't have to watch a ginormous video.